The Leafs blow another 2-goal lead as McDavid gets the best of Matthews out in Alberta. Is it time for a change behind the bench? We'll discuss that topic and recap today's game on the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centered podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. What is up, Dave? How you feeling? The Maple Leafs fall 4-2 to the Edmonton Oilers. Another blown lead tonight.
You know, recently I said, I'm sure the Leafs have been a very inconsistent team. You know what they've been very consistently good at doing, Mike?
Blowing leads?
Blowing leads in the third period with less than 5 minutes left in the game.
Yeah. Yep. That's like
the script it's like the script has been written before the game even starts. Like, we already know where it's going to go just based on how the last 4 games have gone.
So what do you attribute that to, though, Dave? Like, what is this coaching? Like, is this just, coaching? Is this the players just taking their foot off the pedal? Are we not giving enough credit to the opposition? Although 4 straight games seems a little coincidental for, that to be the case. Like, what do we make of this?
I honestly don't have a proper pulse on it. Like, it's easy to say coaching, but I don't think it's all coaching. Like, I think it's also just execution. Like, you look at how it went tonight, they in that third period alone, they looked out of gas. The Oilers knew that they had the Leafs on the ropes, and they kept pressing and pressing and pressing. And, on the goal that on one of the goals, they take an icing call. Everyone on the ice is gassed there. And the one thing you can't do is lose the faceoff and not get possession. It's kind of just been the same story. And I just personally, I just think right now is the players aren't executing. Simple as that. I just don't know, people calling for a coaching change. I don't know what that's going to really change if the players can't do the simple things right.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what they need, though, is just for, a new message to get across for them to do it. Maybe they need maybe they need a new defensive system because they're not executing the one that they, have laid out right now with Dean Chenoweth and Sheldon Keefe. But really, when have they consistently performed and executed that system well? They really haven't, at all, actually, because we always talk about how poor this team is defending. Maybe they just need something new. Maybe they do need a little bit of a switch up. I don't know, if that exactly is going to be the case, but I do look at the team on the other side, and they had a very similar situation earlier in the year where Jay Woodcroft was a good coach. He's a good coach. He's won a lot of games, with that team. What did they do? They fired the coach. They brought in a new head coach. They brought in Chris Knobloch, who brought in, a new assistant with him to try and do something different, change up how they play, the style in which how they defend to try and help out the goaltender and try and make them more responsible. And, well, would you look at that? They've gone, 7-8 games in a row where they've given up 2 goals or less. So maybe when you look at, literally on the other side of the ice, you can see, well, there is sometimes a positive story where you could fire a coach and good things can come from it. And it's I'm not there yet. Like, let me say that I'm not there yet, but it's certainly game by game, it's starting to get there. Like, the seat is really starting to get warmer and warmer and warmer for Sheldon Keefe. And it's really unfortunate because I thought the Maple Leafs actually started off really good tonight. I mean, you score a goal 27 seconds into the hockey game. It's your Ox, big boy Auston Matthews, and he was buzzing in that first period. Like, that was a playoff-esque, Stanley Cup final-esque first period from both sides, the Maple Leafs and the Oilers. You had Connor McDavid and Auston Matthews every time they're out on the ice trying to assert their dominance and say, no, I'm the top dog in this league. It was the most entertaining period I think that I've seen so far this season when it comes to the Maple Leafs. And then it kind of just fizzled away in the back half of that, second period. And then, didn't really do anything in the third. Edmonton controlled a lot of the play. I think after the Morgan Riley goal, that game really started to tilt in Edmonton's favor. I mean, Toronto got lucky that the quick response goal by Hyman got waved off, which kept it still at a 2-goal lead. But Toronto wasn't able to take advantage because then they give up the goal to Draisaitl moments later. Then they give up another goal in the third period, and ultimately they give up a goal in the final couple of minutes there. And they end up losing another game while holding a multi-goal lead. It's becoming a real big concern here. And again, like we talked about yesterday, sometimes good coaches are going to lose their job. We saw it happen in Edmonton. And if this does continue where they just continue to blow leads, blow coverages defensively, and it just keeps resulting in goals against, I can't help but think that Sheldon Keefe might be in the firing line pretty soon.
Well, I think so too. You get to a point where something has to change. You start to hear the rumblings that the team isn't convinced on spending assets right now into the trade deadline. This like eerily similar to when the David Ayers game happened, and like Kyle Dubas made it clear that this team wasn't worth, pretty much wasn't worth giving up assets for at the trade deadline. Yeah, I mean, you're at a point right now where you can't let seasons like this go to like pretty much waste seasons, right? Where the team has just played so bad, and you're just like, we're not going to make a change. We're not going to make the panic move. I don't even know if you can call it a panic move. This is not like a recent slide that this team has gone on. This has been inconsistent play all season long. Sheldon Keefe has been here for a while. This is not like a guy who's been here a couple of years like Jay Woodcroft was with the Oilers. This guy has been here for years. And yeah, there's been good moments, but there's also been not great moments. So
yeah, I want to so some of the post-game quotes are
I'm seeing it too, and I was going to get into that in my good, bad, and ugly because I'm not happy with what I'm seeing.
Okay, so why don't we take a quick break then, and let's get into it, because I do want to get into some of this, because it continue again, like we talk about how similar themes keep creeping up, and the disposition of this team's core is a similar theme, and how it seems like these guys just seem to be unfazed and don't hate to lose. And it's somewhat bothersome to a lot of Leafs fans. Wait till you guys hear what Mitch Marner had to say post game about whether or not frustration is starting to seep in after a fourth straight game where the team has given up a multi-goal lead. So we'll tell you that quote on the other side. We'll get to our good, bad, and ugly. But first, I do want to tell you guys about one of today's show sponsors, and it's our good friends over at Sleeper. It's almost the halfway point in the season, Leaf fans. Regardless of where you are in the current standings, I want to remind you that you can win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. It's the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you have to do is pick whether studs like McDavid, McKinnon, Leon Draisaitl, probably not Mitch Marner at this point in the season, will record more or less than their sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in any given game. To win 100 times your bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Leaf fans. You can win 100 times your money by playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. It's Mike DiStefano alongside. I got my co-host Dave Morassutti with me. We are reacting to the Maple Leafs falling 4-2 to the Edmonton Oilers. This is a daily Maple Leaf centric podcast, by the way. If you are an everydayer who checks back in to listen to the show, thank you very much. We appreciate all you guys out there. You know who you are. If you're new to the podcast, you're just kind of stumbling across us, welcome. Hopefully you've enjoyed what you've heard so far. But we are a daily Maple Leaf centric podcast. You can find us wherever you get your podcast at, and also up on YouTube as well. Search up Locked On Leafs, hit subscribe, and get that daily dose of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And as we like to do after every single loss, it's the good, the bad, the ugly from the game. Let's start with the bad because we want to get to it. We kind of do want to get to it. Should we go with the good? I don't know. You decide.
Let's get the good out of the way because we're going to be spending a lot of time on the other stuff.
All right, fair enough. Which is really unfortunate because it actually was like a good game. Like it was an entertaining game for the most part. It's just a few key instances where this team, was just some defensive coverage that they just blow, and blow is where the lead goes as well. But at the start was fantastic. Obviously, you score 20 seconds into the hockey game. There was so much intensity from both sides. It felt like a playoff game. It really, really did early on. You saw Auston Matthews making some incredible, plays, obviously, with the puck, but also without the puck to try and steal, possessions back. He made that one great kind of behind the back play to keep possession alive that led to led to the Pontus Holmberg opportunity. He stole a puck away from an Oiler defender. A great save by Stuart Skinner on that play, but just the way that he was playing tonight, and especially in that first period, he looked like a man on a mission and wanted to show like, hey, I'm just as good as these guys, both not only the Connor McDavids, but also the Nathan McKinnon, who apparently is on a completely another level. Matthews trying to show his coach early that he's also on that level. Fortunately, kind of faded away a little bit throughout the game. But I thought the start, and I thought Matthews was pretty darn good tonight. And I'll also give another shout out to Jake McCabe, who I thought was good tonight and really, really physical too, which I love to see.
Yeah, shout out to Jake McCabe hit on Zach Hyman.
Ooh, Betsy. Big old hit on Zach
love
Hyman.
that. Love hits like that. Like I think Mike Johnson's called it a cycle buster. One that gets ends the cycle.
Yep.
So that shout out to the video review guy for the Leafs for finding Zach Hyman offside on the goal that he scored.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Shout out Auston Matthews for the great start. Almost had that 2-0. Bertuzzi must have like the worst luck on this Leafs team because that I don't know how that didn't go in. I think that changed the complexion of the game too.
Honestly, it could have been like 4-1, 4-2 by the end of the period. Like the Leafs had a lot of really good chances there. Like I said, the Pontus Holmberg opportunity, great stop by Stuart Skinner. And even Martin Jones made a couple of big saves in the first period that definitely could have went in for the Edmonton Oilers. So both goalies, like for the first half of that game, were absolutely stellar. And then as we get to the bad, I guess we could talk about that Leon Draisaitl goal, which was not so great from Martin Jones, and a really kind of a tough way for you to give up the first goal and kind of allow Edmonton to get back into the game. It's like, dude, that's a bad one. And I don't think he saw the puck. I don't think he was expecting.
He wasn't expecting that at all.
He wasn't expecting it, and it's just kind of bad luck, I suppose. But
second time he's gotten caught like that too. I think the Senators did a certain similar play against him in a game. Like it's unfortunate, but it's also like, buddy, those are the give me saves that just you need to make and not let the other team feel like they have a chance to come back.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, probably 8 times out of 10 that just hits his pad and we don't really talk about it, but just happened to go right past him, and it opened up the scoring and gave Edmonton that little crack to get back into the hockey game. And they did. And they got back into it and they came back and they ended up winning the game. And that's just par for the course for the Maple Leafs, it seems like, of late. What else you want to go with your bad?
Third period was just that was not a good third period.
Yeah.
The Leafs were out 5-on-5. The Edmonton Oilers had 6 high danger scoring chances on net. The Leafs had 0. 0.
Oh,
As good as
yikes.
that game was, the Leafs just stopped playing in the third period. Like
Yeah.
they allowed the Oilers to dictate the pace, as we have seen this team do time and time again this year. And to me, that is a problem. That
Well, they
continues to be
just
a problem.
you know what it was? Honestly, it's like they kind of stopped skating. They weren't battling for pucks as hard.
Yep.
They were turning the puck over. They weren't able to move the puck out. They were getting stuck in their own end. They were getting stuck inside the neutral zone, and they just couldn't break the puck out. Like it was more than half of that period was spent in Toronto's end. They just couldn't do anything. And then when they did finally get possession of the puck, they'd ice it, and then they'd have to stick on the ice again. Like it was just not a great period for
No.
Toronto at all there in the third, obviously. And, you got to give some credit to the Edmonton Oilers. Like they definitely buckled down in that third period and said, hey, we're going to come back and we're going to win this hockey game. Like they were way harder on pucks. And I mean, Connor McDavid just did some stupid things too,
Oh, he
in that game. And like even on the game-winning goal, like that's Connor McDavid just powering his way through Morgan Riley, and then eventually, won the standoff between him and Auston Matthews, and then he just parks himself right in front of Martin Jones. Jones didn't even see the game-winning goal come off the stick of McLeod. Like he 100% did not see it because Matthews, for whatever reason, didn't even touch McDavid. He just let him stand right in front of his goaltender. Didn't even Matthews moved out of the way and allowed the shot to go through instead of it was just not a good look. It really wasn't a good look. That game-winning goal and the sequence there. But that's Connor McDavid, man. Like he was on a mission tonight. He definitely was on a mission, and he was just so physical. He was a beast tonight, honestly, the entire game. I know he didn't end up with a goal, but man, did he ever make a bunch of wow plays that could have ended in a goal or two tonight.
Yeah, no, exactly. And he's that like when we talk about generational players that they're gonna give it to, like, bring it every night. It's Connor McDavid. Anytime the puck is on his stick, like the movement, I've never seen a player move on the ice like Connor McDavid, and how he can just on a dime decide, all right, I'm going for it. And there's not much you can do about it. I thought
Yeah.
Morgan Riley played him pretty well. Okay, the goal, you wish you played it a little differently there, but I thought like Morgan Riley and like most of the defensemen did their best to at least not allow McDavid to get behind them so much. I thought Martin Jones played against Connor McDavid pretty well too. Like there were some clear-cut chances on that, and Martin Jones had to be stellar on them. So like as bad as that goal was that he allowed, there were some saves he made that I didn't think he was going to be able to make the save on.
Oh, for sure. Like I think Martin Jones, I wouldn't say he had a bad game. Like I think Martin Jones had a good game. Just the Draisaitl goal you didn't like, and then when you can't see the puck, you can't stop the puck, and that's kind of what happened on the game winner at the very least. It's unfortunate, but is what it is. The ugly, Dave.
Maybe we take a break and get to the ugly, because this is going to take some time.
Okay, let's do that. Let's take a break and let's get to the ugly. Is that the quotes? You really didn't like what's coming out post game, huh?
No.
Oh boy, I can't wait to hear Dave go off on what's happening right now after the game. So we'll get to those in just a second. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience is what brings home the winning trophy and is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. We roll along here on the Locked On Leafs podcast. It's Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti. Maple Leafs falling 4-2 to the Edmonton Oilers. Things started out great. Goal in the first 27 seconds. Morgan Rielly adds to the lead in the second period, and then it started going downhill from there. The Oilers score 4 unanswered, and Toronto gives up their 4th straight lead and 4 straight losses with a blown lead. We talked about the good, we talked about the bad, but Dave has to get something off his chest about what he thought was ugly. Get into it, Pop. Get into
I'm
it.
gonna pull up the comments. Shout out Luke Fox for writing it all out for me so I can describe it
boy.
to the lovely people here. Mitch Marner says Leafs aren't frustrated. We gotta ignore what everyone else says. We know we're a great hockey team. We show up every night. I mean, this last 4 games that we've had leads, we've played some awesome hockey, some great hockey. I have never in my life seen, okay, this is seeing because I haven't heard the comment, seen someone so delusional in my life. This is not the first time that Mitch Marner has says we got to ignore the outside noise. And I'm sorry, Mitch, if you care more about the outside noise, that's a problem, first and foremost. But the one that really pissed me off, we show up every night. That's great, Mitch. You're not paid close to $11 million to show up every night. You are paid $11 million to win hockey games.
To dominate hockey games, Dave. He's paid to be a dominant player.
A win right now, man. I don't even care about dominating a freaking game. Win a hockey game.
Yeah.
This last 4 games, we've had leads. We played some awesome hockey. You know what you've done in these last 4 games? You have lost those games. You have lost multi-goal leads, and you've looked so disinterested on the ice. You don't even look like you want to be there half the time.
And let's be honest, they haven't played awesome hockey.
No,
They played
they
good hockey, but you know what? Not good enough hockey, obviously, and that's baked into the record over the last few games and baked into the fact that they consistently are blowing leads. And it's, a lot of it is themselves shooting themselves in the foot. Like whether it's a turnover in their own end, whether it's, TJ Brody blowing coverage, like whatever you want to, talk about when you look at some of these goals that are being scored, not just tonight, but over the course of the last week, they're doing it to themselves a lot of the time. So what do you say? You come out here and say, yeah, we showed up, we played. Yeah, but you're playing half the game. Like that's the problem is you're playing half and they're saying check please. And you're getting outworked for the other half and ultimately dropping these games. Like they've held leads in 4 straight. They have 1 point to show for it. 1 pity point in their last 4 games to show for it.
You are allowing the Detroit Red Wings and the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are, Tampa Bay, granted, they have the leading scorer in the NHL right now.
Oh, they're a good team. Let's also
they're a good team, but you're allowing the Red Wings, who are not as good as you are, to basically catch up to you in the standings. To me, someone from the Leafs organization needs to pull Mitch Marner aside and say, do you really, really think this? Because if he really thinks this, I think they need to think long and hard about Mitch Marner's mentality. Because, again, I wouldn't have this problem if this wasn't the first time that Mitch Marner has said something like this.
So, I don't know if you remember, but when the Edmonton Oilers went on their skid previously to Jay Woodcroft losing his job, when they were just losing every single night, and it got to McDavid, and he blew up, and he's like, "We're playing terrible." It looked like he was seething from out of his head of his mouth, like his teeth were just. He was gonna blow a gasket each and every night in his presser, just like, don't know why we're losing. Like he was just so mad and so infuriated. Mitch Marner, nah, we're playing good hockey. I think we'll be fine. It's all good. No one's worried in here. Really? Because you should be. You really, really should be. Because you could wake up tomorrow and not even be in a playoff spot at this point in where you're at in the standings because of this nonsense that's gone on, blowing all these leads of late. So I don't know why you're not frustrated by that. How can you not be frustrated by blowing leads every night? How can you not be frustrated when you watch what TJ Brody is doing out there right now, just giving up the puck? How can you not be frustrated by the consistent blown coverages? How can you not be frustrated by not sticking up for yourselves every time somebody gets a big hit or takes a big cross check? Again, tonight, Matthew Nyes takes a massive cross check in the back. No call, slash and a cross check on the same play.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get called, but also no one did anything. No one did anything about that. It's I don't really understand what this guy's talking about. And like the question that was asked was like specifically, do you feel frustration seeping in? If you've lost 4 straight games in the manner in which you have, and there's no frustration seeping in, they don't have a killer instinct. This is not that's the problem with this team is the DNA is just not there to win. They don't hate to lose. That's the problem. McKinnon, that guy hates to lose. McDavid, that guy hates to lose. And that's why those guys win hockey games in this league. The other 4, most of the players on this Leafs team apparently, they don't hate to lose. And until they learn to hate to lose, I'm not sure how many games this team is actually going to win. Meaningful games, that is. Will they limp in and get a playoff spot? Sure, probably. But are they going to do anything? No, probably going to be the same thing. Maybe they win another round like they did a year ago, but are they going to make any actual tangible, have any tangible success this year? Not this way. Not with that type of mentality. Not at all.
Do you remember when Devon Taves said that there are players on his team that were not playing the right way and they need to get their act in gear?
Get your damn act together, as your boy.
Like that to me, that's and I don't even think the Avalanche were losing, but they weren't doing what the Leafs were doing. Mm-hmm. And he's coming out and he's saying that. And to me, it's like Mitch Marner is if you're trying to show the world that you're not frustrated so that there's not a headline thrown out on you, guess what you just did, Mitch? You made the headline that much worse by trying to control the narrative. Because, Mike, you and I have done scrums. You and I have done a lot of interviews. We've interviewed a lot of players and athletes. That's what Mitch Marner is trying to do right there. He's trying to avoid the sky is falling narrative right now, and he's failing at it.
Because Leafs Nation doesn't buy it. Like you live in a smart hockey town. They're not going to buy it. Like, and if it's true, what he's saying is true. And like, look, very well could be, because if it wasn't, you would see them playing a little harder, to be quite honest with you, and battling a lot more late in these games if they really wanted to win. So there may be some truth to what he's saying, that they're not really all that annoyed or was frustrated, because they probably would play a little harder if that were the case to win a hockey game. But yeah, not what you want to hear from Mitch Marner after they lose their 4th straight game. All 4 games, blowing leads that they had in the 3rd period. It's not good, man. Not good vibes right now in Toronto. Again, which is upsetting because the game got off to a great start. And I thought we were going to come on this pod and have a real fun podcast, talk about, hey, Toronto, they did it. They always show up, they rise, play up to their opponents, and they did it once again. Shut down McDavid, shut down Draisaitl, Hyman, blah, blah, blah. Instead, they take the foot off the pedal, and the team who has killer instinct in the Edmonton Oilers, they're the ones who put the foot down on the gas hard all the way through till the end and end up with a full 2 points. Toronto on to Calgary with 0 tomorrow.
That's it, man. Like, yeah, it's that quote from Marner really, really set off a fuse in me. And
grinded your gears, chapped your ass.
You can name a million different things that did. Like,
yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah. Man, and again, like, that does go back to if frustration's not seeping in there, how high does that go? Where it's like, does that mean he's not being
Mitch Marner must have a real high tolerance for frustration.
Well, okay, sure.
He must be the most chill person in the world.
But like, is there no accountability then from up top right now? Like, are they allowed just to be doing this? Like, you would think, like, I don't know. again, I when you hear stuff like that, it just does grind my gears as well, man. You want to see a pulse from this team. Just show me a pulse.
Yeah.
Get pissed off. I want to see one of those guys get pissed off. A Marner, a Matthews, a Nylander. Just get pissed for once. Whether it's with the media or whether it's, in the middle of a game, preferably. But just one time, I want to see one of these guys kind of show that they got a bit of a screw loose and that they care about what's happening
Yeah.
on the ice and show that they hate to lose and they'll do whatever they can to make sure that doesn't happen in their next outing against the Calgary Flames, which we've seen a lot of chippy games against Calgary over the years.
Mhm.
So I would expect this to be another chippy one. I would. I think that you'll see a chippy game. Hopefully the Maple Leafs can figure out how to get onto the other side of the and back into the win column because they're losing ground and they've really the ground that they've had, it's been made up at the end of the day. They got to start winning games, man. Got to start winning some games here.
They do. Yeah, they do.
All right. That'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on X at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti and follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. Go ahead, leave a like and a comment down below on YouTube. And we'll be back with another episode for you guys tomorrow. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.